Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
First on the agenda under Mayor is a proclamation proclaiming November 26, 2016 as Small Business Saturday. Sure. Is anyone here for this proclamation?
Come on up. It's me and you. All right. Proclamation by the City of Joliet, Mayor Bob Odekirk. Whereas the government of Joliet, Illinois celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. According to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 28.8 million small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of all businesses with employees in the United States and are responsible for 63% of the net new jobs created over the past 20 years. And whereas small businesses employ over 49% of all businesses with employees in the United States, and whereas 89% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses contribute positively to the local community by supplying jobs and generating tax revenue. And whereas 87% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses are critical to the overall economic health of the United States. And whereas 93% of consumers in the United States agree that it is important for people to support the small businesses that they value in their community. And whereas Joliet, Illinois supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our neighborhoods. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now, therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet, Illinois, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, do hereby proclaim November 26, 2016 as Small Business Saturday. And I urge the residents of Joliet and the communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year.
Thank you all so much. On behalf of the small businesses in Joliet, as you know, or maybe you don't know, Small Business Saturday is a takeoff on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. American Express designed this to encourage holiday shoppers to shop local in our community. So on behalf of the Chamber, shop local, shop Chamber on November 26th. Thank you so much.
Next under Mayor is Mayor Odekirk appointments. The Mayor is recommending Dr. Glenda McCullum, Yvonne White, and Angel Contreras to be appointed to the Housing Authority of Joliet Board.
Krista, if I can add, there's a meeting tomorrow morning of the Housing Authority, so the new commissioners won't have time to complete the proper training, so these appointments will go into effect on November 17th.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the approval of the agenda. Oh, I apologize. I skipped citizens to be heard on agenda items. First, Candace Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Candace Johnson, Joliet. I come before you tonight regarding the agenda, even though it's technically not on, the budget, even though it's not on the agenda, it possibly will be discussed tonight again, as well as last evening. Several times they have, Joliet residents have brought up the funding for the hotel motel tax regarding different funding sources for the city of Joliet. I was wondering if there was a way to find out how many Joliet residents are actually paying into the hotel motel tax versus actual visitors who are coming from out of town. My only reason being I know of at least 5 hotels in the city of Joliet who mostly have Joliet residents who are unfortunately down and out on their luck, who are having to stay in these hotels. And I know at least 1 out of 5 of them is paying hotel motel taxes on Joliet residents who just can't have enough money or have horrible credit and can't get an apartment, who are struggling to get by, who need somewhere to stay. And I don't know how many other hotels or motels it's affecting besides just those slight 5 that I know of. So regarding the money coming from out-of-towners, I would like to figure out a way, if there's a way to track if they're actually out-of-town versus Joliet residents.
Jim, we don't have those numbers, do we?
I don't believe we have the ability to track that. Maybe the finance director can reply.
We can apply to the state of Illinois revenue, and they can tell us how much each hotel is giving, but that is confidential information. Who is actually paying those taxes is proprietary information and not available to us.
But just to be clear, there is no proposal to raise the hotel motel tax.
Correct. It was just brought up several times between Thursday and then yesterday it was brought up again. So I just wanted to ask. I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the following change? Remove Council Memo 554-16, which is a request for authorization to approve Amendment Number 2 to the Professional Services Agreement for Development Project GIS updates.
So moved.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Can I ask why it's being pulled?
It was removed at public service last evening.
Sure.
Get an explanation?
Yeah. They decided that they're going to look at a different scope of it and possibly bid it out.
Okay.
That's all. There's no, it wasn't of a very timely matter, and we just wanted to make sure that it was done properly.
Thanks. How about aye? Thank you.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council committee reports. Finance committee report.
Your Honor, the Finance Committee, comprised of Councilman Girl, Councilman Mudger, and myself, met this evening at 5:30 to review the several items. First one being the renewal of the group health, dental, vision, and life insurance program that we had on the agenda last month. Councilman Mudrin had some questions on it, and they came back with a little bit different revised program than what was suggested before. So I'll let him maybe kind of talk on that a little bit.
Sure. Staff re-met with Blue Cross, made a couple adjustments on the stop-loss premium. We increased our risk tolerance on that. It appears that we have the potential for a savings of about $120,000. And Blue Cross lowered their specific rate to us and increased the dental rebate rate to us, and the staff worked with the brokers to get a 3-year rate guarantee on the life insurance that was recommended to accept.
That's it, Mike. Okay, thanks. Also, we reviewed the monthly financial report. The revenues or expenses are tracking very close to budget. There's one item that is over budget, and that is in the revenue column. The license and permit fees are about 171% over budget, which is good. It's an indication that development is taking place, and so the permit and license fees are up. We will look at next month. It's difficult now to say if there will be any additional monies placed into the reserve we should have a better idea next month after expenses and revenues are in for 11 months. We also reviewed the personnel summary, travel expense invoices, and found them all to be in order and recommend their approval. John, do you have anything?
No?
No,
That
okay.
one covers it.
Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
The Public Service Committee met yesterday here in City Hall, and members of the committee include myself, Councilwoman Gavin, and Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer. Aside from what we just discussed, as far as memo 554-16 being removed, as we did not vote to recommend or not recommend, we just removed it, didn't table it, removed it, and it may or may not come back later if the services are still needed. Other than that, it was pretty routine. We went through all the contracts, change orders, pay estimates, and final payments. Everything was copacetic, no problems, and everything was moved forward, save that one exception with a recommendation for approval, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
Under consent agenda, approval of minutes, it's recommended the minutes of the combined city council meeting held on November 1st, 2016 stand approved as recorded. Invoices paid report, it's recommended this report be received and placed on file. Position vacancies, it's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill one legal secretary position with subsequent vacancies. Council Memo 535-16, renewal of group health, dental, vision, and life insurance programs. It's recommended the city manager be authorized to renew the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois PPO health and dental insurance plan, increasing the specific stop loss coverage to $240,000, and authorizing the city manager to renew the Dearborn National Life Insurance Program Option 1 for a 3-year term beginning with the 2017 plan year. Council Memo 536-16, appointment of police auxiliary officers. Administration is recommending Parnell Carpenter and Robert Nevin be appointed as auxiliary police officers. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
Motion to approve.
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl?
Aye?
Councilman Hug?
Aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
I will vote aye except for invoices paid, page 61. I will abstain, pertains to my employer.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Krista,
At this time, the chief maybe could introduce our new auxiliary officers.
thank you.
Jumped ahead there a little quick. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Before I begin, though, I noticed that Joliet Auxiliary Police Chief Karen Arbuthnot is in the back of the room, so I would ask that, Karen, if you could come join me up here as well while we introduce our newest auxiliaries, I'd greatly appreciate it. Mayor and council, as you know, the auxiliary police force is a completely voluntary force that we rely upon heavily at times throughout the year. And I'm very proud to see that we have citizens that are willing to step up here and do a job for free that many of us wouldn't do. So it's my privilege to introduce tonight our two newest applicants. And if they would mind joining me up here, Mr. Parnell Carpenter and Mr. Robert Nevin. First, Parnell Carpenter. He is currently retired from the U.S. military, and he'd like to say a few words. Parnell?
Chief Ben. At this time, I'd like to thank Mayor Bob Odeker and the City Joliet Council for this appointment. I look forward to working with Brian Benton as well as all other law enforcement officers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, we have Mr. Robert Nevin. Mr. Nevin is currently employed by Gander Mountain, and he previously did an internship in our police department, so he has a good understanding of what to expect. Mr. Nevin?
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate this opportunity. I look forward to advancing my career in law enforcement, and this is just another stepping stone in that way. I really appreciate it. I look forward to working with the Joliet Police Department. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I would also like to say, while I have a moment here, if there are any other candidates or applicants that would like to work as an auxiliary police officer with the Joliet Police Department, we are always in need, especially this time of year. The holiday seasons are coming, the parade and shopping, traffic controls. We always could use the help. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your service.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving, and good luck and stay safe.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you for your
You?
Thank you very much. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for volunteering. Thank you for your service. Thanks for all you do. Moving under ordinances, Council Memo 538-16 is an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow an R3 1 and 2 family residential use in an R2 single family residential district located at 1207 Gould. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted, subject to the attached conditions in the exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 539-16 is an ordinance to set a date and time for and to approve a public notice of a public hearing for the present St. Joseph Medical Center area tax increment financing redevelopment area. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted, setting the public hearing date to January 3rd, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 541-16, a resolution requesting authorization to implement a tobacco enforcement program. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 542-16, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of an Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Development Public Sector Energy Efficiency Program grant. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 543-16, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Illinois Department of Transportation for the Des Plaines River Movable Bridge Interconnect Project. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 544-16, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning for the Chicago Street Corridor Design Project. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under bids and contracts, award of contracts, Council Memo 546-16, purchase a van for neighborhood services. Council Memo 547-16, award a contract for the 2016-2017 snow removal for the downtown city center area and the commuter lot area. And Council Memo 548-16, award a contract for the 116 North Center Street Water Service Line Project. It's recommended Council Memos 546 through 548-16 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 550-16, approved change order number 5 for the combined sewer overflow long-term control plan Des Plaines River Combined Sewer Overflow Tunnel Project. Council Memo 551-16, approved change order number 5 for the U.S. Route 6 Sanitary Sewer Improvements Construction Project. Council Memo 552-16, approve amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement for the 2017 Water System Rehabilitation Program. Council Memo 553-16, approve change order number 1 for the multiple year EAB tree replacement program. Council Memo 554-16 was previously removed. It's recommended Council Memos 550 through 553-16 be approved.
So moved.
Second?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
I would just add on this change order, it's not always a charge more. This is a credit of $70,178.63. So a lot of people get questioned about change orders. It's always costing more. Well, this is a huge credit, so I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. City Manager's report.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, a couple of things on the budget. I provided to you this evening a draft of the animal advocacy position that's proposed as a part-time position in the mayor's office as part of the budget. And then I've also given you the employment statistics in the police department, fire department, and public works. Now, these are overall numbers, so I've asked each of the department directors to say a little something about the detail that they feel what your specific questions are, and then open it up for you to question them specifically on certain positions. So, Chief Benton, maybe you can talk about, starting off, how many sworn officers historically?
Sure. I think the question was brought up last night about where were we at our all-time highest. In 2009, we had 302 sworn. With the recession, we lost a number of officers. There was a buyout program we were not able to replace through attrition. Our numbers started slowly increasing in the past few years. This past year that we're in right now, we were authorized at 272 sworn, but we were not able to get up to that number. As the city manager said yesterday, he approved hiring around mid-year once we saw the funding through the Local Government Distributive Act was going to be returned to the municipalities. So we were authorized to hire 6 as of summer. We had some difficulties in moving forward with those off our current list of backgrounds. Either they refused the job or declined the job because of the new residency that was implemented. Many of those that had applied did so prior to residency being a requirement again, and then several others failed the physical fitness test. So we've had some difficulty in getting new hires, even though we've been authorized to since summer. So we have hired in. We hired 2 more this past week. The Board of Fire and Police Commissioner approved 2 more. So we've hired a total of 5 throughout this year. We expect to hire 1 more at next month's meeting, which will put us at, we're at 265 right now. So we should be at 266 for the end of the year.
And Chief, I asked a question yesterday. At 266, how many officers short are you for the neighborhood policing program?
I think at the maximum, now that unit has fluctuated. At the maximum, I think we were at 26 total. I think right now we are at about a 13. We added officers into our special services area, our downtown areas. You know, we got a lot of complaints in the city center, and so we added officers into that area, but we did not supplement the neighborhood policing program. In fact, we've actually had to pull and split some of our 2-officer sectors up in order to fill those obligations. So I believe right now we're probably down about an average of 10 officers in our neighborhood policing program from its all-time high.
Question here. How many police officers overall?
Are we
Are we
down?
down?
From the authorized amount
Is
this
that
year?
339 an accurate number?
We're at 265 today.
Right.
From the 272 that we're authorized for in this year's budget. That's what you all approved for this year.
Right.
And the high point was in 2009. There was
Right, 391.
302. No,
302
sworn.
sworn officers.
I believe the chart you're looking at includes all civilian staff as well, our dispatchers, our
Oh,
front desk
okay.
clerks. So that's total
It says
police
full-time
staff
police here, that's
was at
okay.
391, but
Okay, all right.
And that's why I've asked each of the chiefs and the directors to field a little more detail
Gotcha.
to clarify this for you.
Good.
Chief Formhalls, maybe you could, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just one question before. Chief, Ben, in the new hires, did we get any female officers out of those new hires?
I believe the one, the most recent one failed the physical as well. Don't quote me on it, but I don't believe so.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Within the fire department, our all-time high was in 2009 also. We had 212 sworn individuals, and then 4 secretarial staff to make the 216 that you see. We are currently budgeted in 2016 and again in 2017 for 209 sworn positions and 3 secretarial positions. That makes the 212. In this calendar year, 2016, we've had 10 people retire, and we have replaced, we've hired 3 individuals in 2016. So currently we're down 7 people from the 209 number.
Jim Trisna, maybe you can talk about Public Works a little bit.
I'm sorry, I was still writing. Can I
Okay.
ask real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chief. So you're at 202, and we're authorized for 212?
We're off, well, 209 sworn individuals and then 3 secretarial positions.
Okay,
That makes the 212 is 209 sworn plus 3 secretarial.
okay,
And right now, we're at 202 because we're down 7 sworn people.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, in Public Works, the high was actually in 2006. We had 89 employees. Now, this includes everyone. This includes street department, office staff, engineers, director, that so have you. We're currently at 72, so we're down 17. Of that 17, 7 are from the roadways division. So we currently have 38 roadways division workers, not the foreman, but just the actual working bees, so to speak. We had a max of 45 before the recession hit. The other 10 personnel were, I think there was 5 engineering aides, which those folks have since retired. We haven't filled those slots. Based on our current workload, we really haven't had a need to fill those slots. We have an adequate staff right now as we speak. And the other 5 were basically in the parking division, some part-time folks, things of that nature, and the security guards. And right now, that's in a little bit of a state of flux. There's some discussion that may change may become operated by an outside agency. So we've used we call it a temporary agency to fill some of the slots right now.
Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course I do. You're down 7 road, right?
7 in the roadways division, yes.
Okay, and what is, and I hate to use the word suffering, but what do we have to sacrifice in order to maintain, how are you maintaining it with the 7 down? How's that?
Well, essentially, it takes us a little bit longer to get the work done, to be real blunt with you. Whether it be snow plowing, whether it be street sweeping, what have you. We're still doing our work, but
It just takes longer.
It takes a little bit longer, and there's some jobs that may get put on the back burner. We'd like to do more crack filling in streets, for example, which would extend the life of streets without resurfacing. We have a hard time getting to that, with all the roadway repairs, the patching being done, and now we've been heavily into removing trees with the emerald ash borer situation.
Okay. Now, are you authorized, we're down 7, but are you authorized to hire those 7? Did we authorize that?
Not at this
Like we did
time.
the other? No. So when we get this new truck, do we have someone to drive it?
We have people to drive it, yeah. I mean, essentially, we're trying to get a spare, a good, very good shaped spare truck, which we have one that's
Right.
very old right now.
I was
So
kinda
This new
joking.
and this new truck will basically take a truck that's about 25 to 30 years old and put it out of service.
Okay. Well, I know we were going to get some information on those trucks, and if we get the trucks, then we can maybe, get some more people and get this job done a little bit faster, especially with the winter coming and everything.
Great.
Questions? Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. At this point, it's really the pleasure of council. Any issues that you'd like to discuss about the proposed budget? And staff can try and answer. If
Any issues on
if
the
you've got
budget?
any questions or issues, now's the time to bring them up.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I might, I don't have any issues or questions about the budget, and I want to thank staff for an amazing job that you did, each department head putting this budget together. But Jim, I want to ask one question. We heard from a gentleman last night with Redeemed Connections, and an awesome job with partnering with the city as to what he provided in terms of summer jobs. So if I can get my teeth and my tongue to cooperate this evening, I wanted to know if we could sharpen our pencils just a little bit to see if there's anything that may be out of the CDBG or something to expand that particular program, maybe through that grant fund. I don't know, but
Well, we did expand the program this year. We added properties to the program, which allowed the Reverend to expand the program and hire more youths in the community. And we're continuing to look at properties that we're taking on or that we can redirect towards this program.
okay.
A lot of this, when you're mowing, is you don't want to be driving all over town. You want to be as close as possible. So a lot of it's kind of looking at our area and where our contracts are and who they're with and how to move them around between contractors. So we are working on that.
You're working on it. Thank you so much. And thanks again for the city and their cooperation with this program. This was an amazing piece that we did this year. I'd like to see more. Thank you.
No, Jim, thank you. You made some adjustments that I'd asked for, minor, and some things we just don't have the budget for yet. The only comment I would make is while we still need to push forward on getting more police or more snowplows and so forth, while we were down over 30%, 31%, just several years ago, 2-3 years ago, we've been working as a council. We're down 22% now with the badge police. So we're making the progress, and we're doing it smart. We're doing it the right way, staying in budget. So thank you for your effort, and unless you can tell me we have an extra couple million, I got nothing else to list.
It's coming soon, Larry.
There you go.
We have, all of the union groups have graciously accepted 0% increase this year, but we still have pension increase contributions and increases in our health care that eat up a lot of our new growth. And so I do want to thank them all for that sacrifice. And that allows us, hopefully, again, mid-year, to take a look at our capital expenditures and spend it giving our employees the tools that they need to do their job out there for our residents.
Mayor, just to follow up on that comment, I think, and thank you for bringing that up. Over a period of 7 years, from the time we came in 2011 with the 2012 contract until the end of the current contract, which is a 7-year span, the city workers from all the unions would have accepted 0 raises for the 7 years. I challenge somebody to find any municipality in Illinois that's doing that. So we do have to thank not just the council, not just the administration. We got to thank the bargaining units too for understanding what Joliet needs. The big thank you is in order.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I'm going back 1 second on what he said. Once we realize our budget, I guess, like you said, midterm, after the assessment is done for the at-will employees, hopefully with the sacrifices our unions have made, we'll be able to make a lot of the employees whole at this point as well. And I am glad we were able to discuss that, and hopefully we'll get some insight on that term.
Thank you. Pat?
Not at this time.
Jan?
I would just echo all those comments. We have a wonderful department as far as police and fire and utility workers and everybody at this city hall. I mean, it's just amazing what they've done, like Councilman Hugg said, over these last 7 years. So I'd also like to thank them very, very much for what they've done, not only for the city, but for the citizens of Joliet as well.
Mike?
Not this time, Mayor.
All right, Jim, so can you explain the process? This has to be published for 14 days?
Well, first of all, I'd like to get your consensus on a couple issues that have been proposed. Number one was the part-time animal advocate position, and we also had, I presented to you an option for a public works equipment operator position that would be dedicated to sidewalk grinding during the spring, summer, fall, and then plowing the streets in the winter time. And that would, the one position with the grinding and the vehicle would add about $125,000 to our expenditures, and then the part-time position was $15,000. Jim, was there any other changes that would modify the budget as proposed?
The other one was to include the LED lighting project.
That's correct. And that was $150,000 in capital expenditures. 75% we would get back from the state as part of a grant program.
And with the LED lights, the idea is, besides being green, that there is a long-term benefit to the city? Costs go down?
Yes, the predominant benefit is we have 3 electricians on staff who are out there replacing light bulbs amongst their other responsibilities, but this quadruples the lifespan of a light bulb, so they aren't out there replacing them as often, and as well as the energy efficiency.
Mayor, if you remember, the Public Service Committee a couple of meetings ago, we had approved payment on a previous section of them. Not only do they last up as much as 20 years, and I'm going off memory here, but I believe they pay themselves off in 3 to 4 years in savings. So it's a huge benefit financially.
Your Honor, just one question. Jim, are the traffic signals, I know we're working on them, are they all LED now? Traffic signals?
That I don't, yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So are you looking for a proxy vote on each one of those issues, or?
Yeah, just a consensus so that we can, the point is that Mr. Gadati needs to make the modifications to the final document that you would adopt. So that would be an increase in those expenditures for those areas in the final document that you'd consider for adoption.
Do we need a motion on it, or?
I don't know if in the formal vote, I guess. Informally, I'm in favor of all 3.
I have no
I'm in
problem.
favor of all 3.
I'm in favor of all 3.
Okay.
Consensus.
Very good. So, Jim, could you explain the approval process at this point in terms of your preparation and what council needs to adopt?
The, excuse me, let me work backwards. We have to get our levy to the county on the last Tuesday of December. So the first meeting in December, I would hope that council would adopt the levy ordinances and adopt the budget with the changes that were presented tonight.
Can we do it even earlier? Could we adopt the budget at
You could adopt the budget
December
tonight if
6th
you
meeting?
wish, yes.
Okay. If there are no other changes proposed, then we'll go ahead and prepare that for the next regular council meeting for adoption.
So we'll be voting, Mayor, we'll be voting at the next meeting?
At the Tuesday meeting, we'll vote.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
So it's pretty much a done deal. You put it on for public view and so
Right.
forth, and then we'll vote in 2 weeks.
Right.
Nice.
Question.
Yes.
Jim, if we were to make any changes at the pre-council meeting on the budget of 1 or 2 items, could we then vote on that the next date also? On the 6th or 4th, whatever it is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, that would change all the
Right.
ordinances, so
Right.
It'd be a scramble to get them ready in one day, but it's doable.
Okay, thank you.
Well, procedurally, shouldn't we, it would be an up or down vote on the budget itself? And then if it doesn't pass, then we talk about what changes need to be made?
Unless there's a consensus Monday night that you all want to do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that have to be open for 14 days for view?
Well, the fact that it's already on display, you know, it's been posted on our website, and it's available here in City Hall if you want to come in and take a look at a copy. And these discussions have been public. I do believe we meet the requirements set forth by law.
Okay.
Is there anything that any of us are thinking about?
Well, I think did have a request from the Rialto, and I'm not ready to make a decision on it right now, but I may at pre-council, but I think we have to respond to them some way or other. If the venue works in the Rialto. So, up or down, you know. So,
Well, if it was up, then that's going to change the budget. That's $500,000.
Right.
That we need to
right,
take out from somewhere else, or raise taxes,
or reserve,
or go further into debt.
or reserve fund, yeah.
Is it a vote that we can go tonight? I mean, I don't think we legally we're not obligated to give a vote. It's not in the budget, or it is in the budget.
Well, I've been getting a lot of calls, both for and against. I think the public wants to know what we're gonna do, and I have no problem voting, you know, the way I feel, once I get some more answers.
So you need more time.
Assurances.
Okay.
You know.
Well, so you're going to prepare a budget
Yes,
for review,
right.
and I guess, you know,
Well, I mean, if push comes to shove, we can, if it's too much hassle, if we make any changes on the pre-council, can't we, if it's too much of a rush to get it the next day, we have another meeting in December, correct?
We do.
On the 20th, and that
Yes.
gives you plenty of time to make that one or two changes.
That's true.
If that's okay with everybody else, I don't know.
We'll be prepared for adoption at our next meeting, but if you want to wait till the following, you can do that. That's all I have for city manager's report.
okay.
Next is new business, not for final action or recommendation.
New business?
Yes. I was discussing with the council, we had spoken about the flags in 9 locations throughout the city that are not required. They meet standards, but they're not required to be lowered to half mast. Only the one here at City Hall is, and the lighting is sufficient. So we were talking about it, and I thought it would be a good idea if we got the locations of each of those flags. We could find the nearest VFW and ask for a few volunteers that would be willing to take responsibility for that flag so that it is at half-mast when it should be. And I believe that's something that would be beneficial to our veterans and you know, appreciated by them. So that was something I proposed that we do, if I can get the locations of each of those.
I think the other issue, Jim, would be that if they're not properly lit, they should be lowered at dusk and raised at dawn, correct?
Yes?
And are we going to ask for volunteers?
I would like to ask for lighting rather than to ask for volunteers to lower and raise it every night. I think that the veterans at these places would very much appreciate lighting if we're able to do so. I know you said that one of them has a solar light.
Yeah, and actually earlier this evening, Fire Chief Formhall showed me a photograph. He was out there, and it was providing adequate light, really well lit.
Okay.
Of the flag, and so I think we're going to start doing that at other locations.
Will it provide it throughout the night, or does the solar burn off at some point? If you know, Chief.
I believe it should last the entire night. I think it should last for the the evening period. So I don't think it's going to be an issue with it going dim. And as far as the monument flags go, the fire department goes out and lowers those to half mast at when we get those proclamations. I mean, we might miss one occasionally, but we put out the memo. Ken shoots it over to me, and then I send it out to our officers, and they try to be very diligent about going to the different monuments and lowering those to half mast. So I apologize if we miss one occasionally, but we have monuments assigned to the different fire stations, and they do go out and try to get those.
Now, Jim, I know, we're talking about this publicly, one of the issues has been some of the areas there is no electricity available. Is that correct?
Yes, that is a problem, first and foremost, and so that's why we looked at the alternative of the solar lights.
But I know this is a touchy issue. There's veterans here, there's a Gold Star mom here. This is something we have to make a commitment we're going to get right. If the solar lamps don't work, then we're going to install electricity, or we're going to take the American flags down. Because I think it means a lot to people in this community, especially the veterans.
Okay.
It is
Mayor?
a touchy subject.
And,
Okay,
I'm sorry, Jan. I was just going to ask really quickly, if, I don't think it was a matter of them not always being lowered at the right time. I think the lighting was a bigger issue
think so, too.
than anything. So, I mean, believe me, I'm sure fire is doing everything they can to get them down when they can. It's just a matter of making sure that the lighting is right and that the veterans are respected. So,
Yes.
go ahead.
as I recall, the Vietnam committee that we have, weren't we supposed to have some kind of deal with ComEd and putting in electricity so that they would always be lit? What happened to that?
Can you step up, please, Wayne?
Thanks for the opportunity to address you tonight. A little history perspective is in order, though, before I read my statement. About 2 years ago, when the mayoral campaigns were going on, I actually got a commitment from everybody running for mayor that they would put lights on the flag pavilions. That's been an ongoing thing, actually, under 2 other city managers. When these were constructed, it cost about $200,000 to put them all up, and they never put lights on them. Now, you go figure. My name is Wayne Horn, and I wish to address you tonight as a private citizen and a proud veteran of the 101st Airborne United States Army. I didn't jump in here tonight, but I have jumped in the past. The city of Joliet constructed flag pavilions as small public places in a patriotic display of our country's values. I am unaware of any other city in Illinois that has such displays that were built solely by the municipality. In doing so, we took on the responsibility to maintain the highest level of respect for the display, not to, quote, do the minimum required to comply. Last Thursday, following a special session meeting of the City Council, Mayor Odekirk posed a question to City Manager Hawk regarding the display and illumination of all the flags displayed at the 8 or 9 flag pavilions. There seems to be some controversy about how many there are. In and around Joliet, Mr. Hawk stated that the city is in compliance with both state and federal flag codes. I respectfully disagree. Compliance is just a buzzword because the flag code themselves, both of them, don't have any meat. They don't have any penalties for not following the codes. They are, in essence, just guidelines. Mr. Hawk said the flag pavilions did not require the city to follow any of the enumerated guidelines for the flag display, and that only requirement of the city was to display the U.S. flag on or near the entrance to City Hall, for instance, and that was satisfied by displaying and illuminating the flag across the street at the police station building. I have never entered this City Hall by way of the police station, so we don't have one here either. Apparently, the city manager deems the responsibility for the flag pavilions to be unnecessary. I have reviewed both the state and federal flag codes and find no definition for illuminating the flag other than the words, "if properly illuminated." Proper illumination could be defined, according to the words of Mr. Hawk last week, as seeing the colors of ambient light I did not find those words in any context of the state or federal flag codes. Is that what we want the fourth largest city in Illinois to settle for? The ambient light referred to in Mr. Hawks' comments last Thursday must refer to the street lamps that are sometimes 50 feet or more away from the flag locations. Perhaps the moon could be used some nights, but it is hardly the quality of illumination that we expect. I also understand that a solar lamp was installed at the pavilion at the intersection of Theodore and Brock Road. I appreciate the comments tonight, but I have to tell you that I checked it out after dark on Veterans Day and found that 2 hours after sundown, it still was not lit. Furthermore, the flags at that location are tattered and unserviceable. If you want to see the picture of a tattered and torn flag, I've got it. Or go check it out yourself. It's a disgrace. I requested more than 2 weeks ago that the flags be removed out of respect until they can be properly illuminated or can be raised and lowered properly each day. Any flags that are not in serviceable condition that are displayed by the city should be removed if they're not in a serviceable condition. I'm not up here to be the flag police, but I and other veterans believe proper respect for the flag is a civic responsibility. It is a symbol of our country and should command the highest respect when displayed. Appreciate your attention.
Specifically, the question about the Vietnam Committee, Jan, could you ask again?
That question, we actually had worked out a commitment, and I believe somebody else wants to speak to that, but we had worked out a commitment with ExxonMobil to provide the labor if the city would provide the equipment to light the flags.
Did we ever get a estimate on the
We
cost?
have it, and we will give it to you tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, please, thank you.
Many of you know me. My name is Denise Meehan, and as Mayor Odekirk says, I am a Gold Star mother, which is why I'm dressed like the Pillsbury Doughboys' wife. We wear white. This is our uniform. We wear white to reflect the service and the purity of the sacrifice of our children. A Gold Star mother is a mother of a child who has lost their life because of their decision to put on this nation's uniform in a time of war. The white also is reflective of the white and the stars and the stripes on that flag. And it's the same definition. It's purity and innocence of service. When your child comes home and that flag is their last blanket, I assure you we take the flag very seriously. Honor and respect for the flag is one of the most important symbols and signifiers of the honor and respect that we have for the fallen and for all those currently serving. So the question is always, what is it that we're asking, and what is it specifically? Four simple things. First, Councilman Quillman, if I can give you these are copies of the company that was found, one of the only companies in the nation that produces a commercial-grade solar lamp that is designed specifically to put on a flagpole. This is not something that's going to be outshone by a Bic lighter at 5 paces. This was something that Mayor Odekirk, when I saw the wonderful council meeting where you said just authorize it and do it, this is a simple thing, and I was so excited and I'm so dismayed it still hasn't been done. So if I can pass these out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Question. So what you're saying now, these are better than the, much better, I mean, we have solar lights now, but these are the top-notch ones?
These are designed intentionally for commercial applications.
Especially for flags or for other things as well?
Specifically for flags. The mounting and the way it's set up is specifically for flags. You can look at it. There's even pretty little pictures of exactly what it looks like. One of the advantages of this product is that it has the ability to maintain a charge. So on, cloudy days like we're going to have constantly from now until June probably here, the flag will still be properly illuminated. As Wayne had said, proper illumination And the flag code is very loosely defined, but minimum standards are simply not acceptable.
No, and I agree. But what I'm asking you now is, in the wintertime, we have dark periods. How does the solar get their energy?
The solar energy charges an internal battery, and then battery helps supplement the light's ability to run when there hasn't been sufficient charge. I believe the specifications on this are 4 days. The solar lights that are currently employed, they can be purchased, and no offense to Chief, I know that they came from like Home Depot or Menards. I have one on my flagpole at home. It's crap. It doesn't work. It dies out very quickly. The cost of all of these, whether it's 8 or 9, and the list on here says 5, because there was a conversation that maybe up to 3 or so of them may have the ability to have electricity run to them. So the cost of 5 of them, this runs out to be just under or just over $5,000 per light installation. And that's the total cost. Because as Wayne said, Exxon, one of our area's largest employers, has a veteran volunteer group that has already said that city, purchase the stuff, we'll come and put it in. So tomorrow morning, I request that, as the mayor had previously directed, phone call be made to this company, place the order, get from them the commitment date of when they're going to deliver it. Second, contact Exxon, arrange for the volunteers to come out. It's done.
So do we know exactly, is it going to be more than 9,000? I mean, 10,000?
This is it.
This is it?
This is it.
So Mayor?
Do we?
I think this is doable, and I would propose that we just do this, because city manager is authorized for $20,000, so this is less than 10. So I don't know how you want to handle this, but I don't know how my fellow council people feel, but I think this is doable and that we should do it ASAP.
I appreciate that, Councilor. There's a couple of other points that I wanted to give you guys, just so that it's absolutely crystal clear. What the flag code says, and I'm sorry to be disagreeable, but the information that you had addressed earlier is simply incorrect. It is, the installations that are currently there are not to code. They are not to the flag code. As Mr. Horn said, this isn't a law. This is a code of federal regulations, and the only one to whom it applies as law is those in uniform. So police, fire, and our military. For the rest of us, there are guidelines of how to respect and honor the flag. So the state of Illinois and the federal codes both are here just for a reference.
I don't want you to think that you were being disagreeable. I'm trying to, my father's a veteran, and I'm trying to show the respect as well. So please don't think that it was minimal.
Mayor? Yes. And I think I'm just echoing what you said, probably what everybody's thinking. When Councilwoman Coleman said, thank you. You know, this has been talked about and talked about till it's been talked to death. And I'm not getting impatient because it's being talked about. I'm getting impatient now at this point. Myself and Mr. Horn have talked about it at least more than 3 or 4 times. 4 years. Right. You and I have gone back and forth. You know, and you said it clearly. I'm glad that you brought it up. Why can't we just get it done? We got a $20,000 budget. This looks like a relative, I mean, there's certain channels he has to go through to make the purchase, which you'll appreciate as a public. But what do we need to do to get it done, Jim?
There's 2 more points. There's 2 more requests on my list of 4. Number 3 is after the conversation with Exxon, determining when the volunteers can come, because now you have the date, you know when the product is going to be here to be installed. The next step is to, I don't know where the city gets its flags, but make certain that there are sufficient flags on hand and ready for purchase, because the flag is to be replaced not less than twice a year. Recommendation is the week before Memorial Day and the week before Veterans Day. You don't wait until the flag is tattered and torn before you replace it. It needs to be done in advance. Minimum is twice a year, 4 times a year possibly. Now, as far as getting them done, the very simple concept, I believe that number 4 on my list answers that very simply. Put it on the city website, put it out on on Facebook, on whatever else, giving the opportunity for Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops, VFWs, American Legions, to vie for the honor of doing the flag retirement ceremonies. You will then be putting the retired flags in the possession of those who are accustomed to and familiar with the proper ceremonies for disposing of the flags. Problem is done and the problem is solved. I wanted to put this into another context here. tell you just a very quick little story. This is so important to me, obviously. 6 years ago, on November 1st, when this was talked about, the day my son was killed in action in Afghanistan. Over the next 2 weeks, this community in this city did things that were beyond all expectation. When that funeral procession drove through this community, thousands upon thousands of people came out, and they stood on the sidewalks, and they stood for hours waiting. Most of them had flags. What that tells me, and it tells you, this is important to this community. Patriotism isn't just a flash word. It means something. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce some of the military mamas. These are the mothers of those currently serving. I didn't know them then, though I know that they were there.
My name is Jerry Ann Wiesbrook, and I've been a resident of Joliet for 28 years. And I was very excited when the flags began to appear in the, what are those called? Pavilions. I thought that was fantastic. And as a child of veterans, my parents met in the Navy, as a sister of veterans, it meant a lot to me because I love our flag, I love our country. I drove here with a friend of mine who's also a military mama network. We started 3 years ago in Joliet, and we had 5 people to send a soldier and his dog some supplies that he needed. 3.5 years later, we're almost 14,000 strong, and we all believe the same thing. We, as a nation, want to do the best by our service members and our veterans. We just don't know what to do, and this is a simple solution, not just for the lighting, but for the frayed flags. It's a dishonor to every man and every woman who has fallen in the service of our country, and every child and man who continues to serve and chooses to write a blank check to our nation. So I just ask you to retire the frayed flags. If you need donations to replace them, I guarantee you we can get that to be done. We just want to reflect appropriately what I believe you all feel is a love for our flag and a love for our country. So thank you for your time, and thank you for discussing this tonight. It means a lot to everyone that I stand and represent.
Yeah, personally, I want to apologize. This is bureaucracy run amok, but it will be taken care of. We don't need donations. We're the 3rd largest city in the state of Illinois. And you're right, when the city built those pavilions, we took on the responsibility. So this will be corrected.
Bob, Mayor, how many do we have? My understanding, we have nine monuments and flags. Is that accurate?
That are unlit, yes.
Right, that are unlit. The other ones are lit because they have the lights. I think, how many total flags do we have?
Chief?
That I don't know.
Let me run down what I've got here that we take a look at. So at 6 Corners, you have 2 flags. At Gauger Road, you have a flag. On Hickory Street, Hickory and Western, you have a flag. South Larkin and South Chicago Street, out by the airport, you have a flag. Black and Bronx, you've got a flag. Route 59 across from the Coles, there's a flag. Now on 59 in Caton Farm, there's a flag there, but I think that's the Park District's flag. It's got a monument with a bronze sculpture at the base, so that's the Park District's. And then just north of Creamy Delight, you've got one on Broadway Street. So if I'm correct, I believe there's 10 flag monuments.
That's my count, yeah.
Okay, so you've got 10. I believe the one on Broadway Street by Creamy Delight has a light at the base. The one at the airport has a light, a hardwired light. So that's 2 of the 10 have hardwired lights. Somebody put in a very nice solar package out at the one on Gauger Road. We can't determine who did that, but that has a nice solar light. The 2 solar lights that are lighting the flag, though, are out, so we need to get those repaired. But the monument itself has a nice solar light there. And then we put the solar light up at Black and Bronx, and that is functioning as of tonight, because I stopped out there and looked at it, and it wasn't working, but there was a button on the back that wasn't pressed, so the minute I pressed it, it came on. So my count, you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 of these that would need immediate attention.
Okay, and thank you, Chief. And again, like several have said up here too, I applaud the efforts of those that have put whatever is out there now currently with our solar lights, but they're just insufficient. What I would like to propose is that we put together, an ordinance that's got a perpetuating line item budget. Every year, at the beginning of the year, the city buys 20 flags, following your recommendation of a minimum of twice a year. That's so simple, isn't it? 20 flags, we store them. Jim, it's up to you. Maybe we'll turn your office in. No, I'm kidding. But you'll find a place to store them, whether it be 2 per fire department, there's 18 of them, right? Does that make sense? To have them on hand?
Certainly.
It's been overlooked over the years. Councilwoman Corman, you are leading the Vietnam Veteran Committee.
Well, actually, no. Mr. Horn is the chair. So, which leads me to my next question. I've been wondering, we've been waiting, this was part of our committee, something that we were supposed to do. And I just wonder why we didn't bring this to committee level so that we could make the presentation in a non-formal manner, because that was one of our things we were supposed to do. Because last time you came before us and we talked about the electricity and everything. So we could have come up with this on our own, but now that it's out there, I think we need to get it done. I think it's a fantastic idea. And instead of repairing the solar lights that are out, we just need to get all new ones and start from scratch with these new solar panels.
That's why I put on the uniform. Sometimes bureaucratic red tape delays things. And I was unaware that this wasn't concluded. Otherwise, we would have done what you're suggesting. But this has been on discussion. In fact, City Manager Tom Thanis removed the flags because of a lack of lighting. That was probably 6 years ago. And when the fire department put solar lamps, they weren't adequate, but they at least made the effort to light them, and they went up. And as those deteriorated, which didn't take a whole lot of time, nothing was ever done. And I don't know how often the flags are replaced, but as I showed the picture of the one on Bronk in Theodore, I haven't seen flags that went through battle that looked that bad. So, it's just, I applaud the council. I thank you, all veterans and all citizens of this community. Thank you. It's an honor to have that flag flying. And all of those flag pavilions, to my knowledge, nobody else has that in this state. So I think it's something to be proud of, and I think it's something that we should take a bigger responsibility for, and I appreciate it.
So, Mayor, to piggyback on what Councilman Hugg said, this need to go to land use or legislative, so that we can make an ordinance, or we have the flags in place all the time, that they'll get changed, that if we need new lights, there'll be that. We have to do it. It's not, we might do it, it's we have to do it, because it's city ordinance. So, Marty, does that go to?
There's a legislative committee meeting later this month.
Right, so we can put it on that agenda for that.
Yeah.
All right.
But in the meantime,
Just do it.
and I'm going to apologize, and I'm not going to make any excuses, but my preference would be wherever we can put electricity in, that we do that, and then we use solar at the ones where it would be too expensive to bring the electricity in, or where we couldn't do that. So let me develop a price for you. If it's under the 20,000, I'll just tell you what it cost and when we plan to do it. If it's over, then I'll share with you that information.
But with all due respect, right now, they need to be lit now, we need new flags now. So, I mean, by the time we wait to get the electricity, we should have these lit with the solar panels, and then, because that's gonna take a while with the weather coming up, the ground's gonna be cold to be digging for electricity, right?
Yes.
So,
We can't wait till the spring.
we can't wait till spring. I mean,
Wasn't
I
proposing.
appreciate the electricity, we can do that down the road, but I think right now, we need to get these lit, get the new flags, and get the solar panels up now.
Right.
One of the, thank you, Councilman. Councilman, that's exactly what the point was, about waiting kind of defeats the purpose. But there's another purpose involved in all of this, too. This is an opportunity for a public and private partnership. There's a volunteer organization of veterans that wants to do this. They want to give into the community. You're giving the opportunity for them to do that, and you're also giving the opportunity moving forward for other veteran services and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, et cetera, to be participating in this program, to be participating in honoring, respecting the flag in their community. If it turns out that there are certain places that it's possible or it's feasible to do electricity, do it when the spring comes along, and then perhaps the city can sell that solar unit to one of the veterans organizations or a school or someplace else that can't afford to put the electricity in for their own flag.
Councilwoman.
Thank you. You know, I certainly agree that this needs to be done now. I have much respect for that flag. 173rd Airborne, the herd, okay? So, but I heard the list that Chief Formers read off, but I did not hear the monument and the flag at the corner of Woodruff and Draper. One there. And so if we could add that one to the list, and I certainly appreciate Station 4. They are on the job all the time, replacing my flags and taking care of it. And so I certainly would like to add that one.
Yes.
I was just,
Yes, there is no light there. We need a light.
I was just going to try to correct myself from earlier. I really do feel bad, but what I wanted to say was I believe that the tattered flags need to be taken down, like Ms. Coleman said, tomorrow. I will, I know we can't all vote on this tonight, but I will personally, I know some faces out here now, Jerry Ann. I didn't realize you were sitting there. I would love to help and take responsibility to get together with the fire departments, who I'm sure are going to be more than happy to assist in getting whatever organizations need to be contacted to have the flags taken down until lighting is put up, or until we get the non-tattered flags up. Okay, so I'll get you my information. We'll get together tomorrow if we have to. Tomorrow.
Okay. I have a brand new flag too that's ready. You can use it wherever you need to use it because it was donated to us and we have it.
You need it for Brock Road, apparently.
Okay, got it.
So,
You got it. Come get it.
I think in this will the council, if we could buy these solar lights, and then if we want to change up in the spring, do that.
Sure.
Is that?
Mayor?
Yes.
And buying the solar lights, good commercial. First of all, again, I just want to reiterate that I still do appreciate the efforts of the fire department. We just got to move to the next level. So nobody's being ungrateful, but, you know, you can even leave the solar lights on once we connect it to electricity. If you have a power outage, we have a backup. We're guaranteed that our flags will never be in the dark.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. Any other new business?
So this will be on the legislative, on November 28th, I believe, is our meeting.
That's for a new ordinance.
Well, we're going to do it in the meantime before the ordinance, but that's to keep the flags going. Moving forward, right.
Next is public comments. Is there anyone present that would like to speak under public comment? Mr. Hernandez?
Just a couple of things. One, I just want to thank Mayor Odekirk and also City Manager and Steve Jones. We've been having some discussions the last couple of weeks about having more inclusion with the Chamber of Commerce, City Center Partnerships, two great organizations, and I look forward to working with the Mayor and the City Manager and Mr. Jones to improve that. All three men are dedicated to involving the entire community, and I want to thank all three of them, Mayor, especially you, and City Manager, Mr. Jones. It's a good working relationship. Second of all, I just want to say that happy birthday to Mayor Bob Odekirk today. Sarah, Candace, and Kathy and myself, we had some cake and stuff afterward for Mayor Odekirk. He's, just a couple years younger than me, several years younger than Councilman Hug over there. But again, happy birthday, Mayor. You've done a great job for our city. We're very proud to have you as our mayor. And I think I speak on behalf of the citizens of Joliet. Thank you. And again, happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thanks.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Glenda McCullum, and I was appointed to the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. And I just want to say that I'm just honored and privileged to be a part of that committee, and I'm looking so forward to working and meeting the other commissioners that are a part of that board as well. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor, if I might.
Yeah.
Dr. McCullum. Dr. McCullum, we are so proud of you and the services that you do for this city. And to be appointed to that board is an amazing piece. I know, a woman of God, that your heart is in what you do there. So thank you so much for accepting the appointment.
Can I also say that part of my passion for wanting to be a part of the board is I myself grew up in the Housing Authority, in the projects down on Des Plaines, the ones that were just recently, that are undergoing advancement. And just to see my life and to see the lives of individuals that are, that have come through the ranks and lived in the housing development and the service that it provided for our family, we would have been homeless had it not been for being able to get a housing project. And coming from the Hill where we had no running water, we had outside toilets. And when we got to the housing projects, we thought we were the Jeffersons, that we had moved on up. And just to be able to turn the water on and water comes out and flush the toilet. So I'm just thankful for all that service provides. And I just want to be able to give back into the community to help others that are coming through the ranks as well. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Next is mayor and council comments.
None.
Yes, I'd like to give a big shout out to the Forest Park IE School, Principal Darley, and the teacher, Miss Angie. If you guys go to our Facebook page, you will see that about 30 of those little ones came down to our center today, loaded with over 300 canned goods that they collected to be able to help us fill Thanksgiving baskets. And so a big shout out to the Kindness Club. That's what they're called. They're called the Kindness Club, and they do acts of kindness. And so I just want to give a big shout out to them. My other shout out goes to Miss White. Miss White was also appointed tonight to the board, Housing Authority Board. This lady has a great passion for what she does, and she's been doing it for years. And so Miss White, big shout out. She has a new grandbaby with her now, so I know her hands are going to be full. So we will try to pray for her and lift her up through all of this. So thanks, Mayor, for letting me do that.
Okay. Happy birthday. You tell everybody. We all want to know. How old are you?
47.
All right, you're close to 50, so don't be bragging.
Mere baby.
Close enough, yeah.
Happy birthday, Mayor. I knew it was something special about you. My birthday Friday, so we November.
There you go.
That's why we get along. I'm not telling my age later. Happy birthday, man.
That's it?
That's it.
48?
Oh, I like that. Go down.
Go down.
I'd like to speak on, a week ago Thursday, Project Acclaim, which is a local organization that started back in 1987 that is community-based, recognizing local accomplishments. They had their annual banquet, and at that time they recognized Terry Darcy for his involvement, the Pritz family for everything they have done, and Cheryl Johnson and everything she's done with the State Attorney's Office and the animals that are used for the youth that may have to be questioned in court on abuse cases at a banquet here in town. That's it.
Well, Mayor, happy birthday. But I also would like to say, last Friday, we attended the, you're probably going to mention this as well, the Veterans Day service downtown at the city courthouse, or the county courthouse. And it was very well attended, although more people could have been there, I feel. However, it was a brutal day with that wind. It was cold, but I want to thank again all our veterans for everything that they do. I was there that day on the sidewalk 6 years ago. I remember it quite well, and people in this town really come out to support their veterans. Having said that, I want to just remind everybody again about Honor Flight Chicago. I flew on 3 flights as a nurse, and now they're taking Korean vets and Vietnam vets. So if anyone knows of a veteran, it's all paid for. No, the husbands, or the wives can't go, or if the wives are going, the husbands can't go. It's all totally paid for the veteran, the whole day, airfare, transportation, food the whole day, and it's a day that they will never forget. So if you know of anybody, your family or neighbor or friend, just go to honorflightchicago.com on your internet, and you can download the application. And if you have any issues with that, you can call me at 815-726-7071 or contact someone at City Hall to contact me. And I will help you to make sure that you get your day in Washington to see the memorials that you're so deserving of. So with that, that's all I have to say, but I come from a family from all 4 branches of the service. So my husband was a Marine in Vietnam, and I hope that you ladies have seen our tribute to the Vietnam War, the wall downstairs with the flag, and that's from the federal funding, and thanks to the mayor, he was able to institute that committee here, and I'm very proud to serve on that. So with that, I will be done. Thank you.
Just a couple of questions. Jim, the state had told us that at the end of this month, the Cass Street Bridge will be reopened. Are we still on schedule, or is there any chance it'll be open for the Christmas parade?
I haven't heard anything else, Jim. Have you, the plan to be open 1st of December?
All right, okay, thanks. The other thing, I just want to echo Councilwoman Gavin's comments about Forest Park School. I had an opportunity to go up there last Thursday and talk to the 3rd and 5th graders about the elections and how the process works at City Hall. And there's only one other school like it in the United States, and that's in Hawaii. Each student is on an individual education plan. The discipline up there is unbelievable, and the questions they had were, I couldn't believe they were 3rd and 5th graders. It was phenomenal. And last thing, I just want to wish the mayor a happy birthday.
Thank you. A couple things. I was at A.O. Marshall School yesterday, visiting and taking questions from the 3rd graders. Very, very bright group of young men and women. But thank you to A.O. Marshall and the terrific job they're doing. We had a ribbon cutting at the mall last week for Concepts. I don't know how to describe it if anyone hasn't been there yet. It's a new restaurant in the mall right by the food court. But I do want to thank the company. They're an outside company that's actually using Milano Bakery and local vendors to distribute the product. So thank you for coming to Joliet. Sunny Hill Nursing Home had a holiday bazaar and bake sale last week. Again, thank you to the staff of Sunny Hill Nursing Home for all the hard work they do. I would like to thank the 3 outgoing Housing Authority members who were replaced tonight, Patrick Asher, Karen Williams, and Mitchelina Mead. Thank you for your service to our city and to the Housing Authority. And then finally, for Veterans Day, again, Councilwoman Coleman mentioned, on Thursday, Joliet Central High School had their annual Veterans Day celebration. Very impressive, very moving. There was a lot of elected officials there. Thank you to Joliet Central. And then Friday, I went to a couple events, the downtown annual Veterans Day event. Thank you to Don Walden. And a big thank you to the Joliet American Legion Band, who's there every year. It's a real proud institution that we have here in Joliet, and they were out there holding those brass instruments in the cold and playing. They did a great job. So thank you to everyone involved. And then TZAC Funeral Home, once again, has had a Veterans Day celebration where they honor veterans who had passed through their funeral home during the last year. They bring the families back. It's a very nice ceremony, and thank you again to TZACs. And I do want to bring up one point. I spoke about this. I gave a speech at TZACs, and I know no one wants to hear preaching from any politician, so I'm not going to do that, but it's an issue I think needs to be addressed. We had an incident a couple weeks ago where a local high school, where students on the football team refused to stand up for the national anthem. And then I was called in the mayor's office last Wednesday after the election. There was a Joliet Grammar School where numerous students refused to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I think these young people are obviously misguided, but I think there needs to be some responsibility from all of us here, from parents, from teachers, school administrators, coaches, and us on the council as elected officials. I think this is an issue that could unite both the left and the right wing of this country, or Democrats or Republicans, that there has to be respect for the institutions of our country. We heard talk tonight about the flag and what it means to people who have personally served or have lost ones near them that have served. And when you stop and think about it, your service was to protect the country, but to protect the institutions of this country, whether it be the Constitution or the election process or the symbols of the Pledge of Allegiance or the flag. So, I'm calling, and I don't think there's an overwhelming issue in Joliet. This is a very patriotic city, but I do think it's an issue that needs to be talked about, not just by me as a mayor. I think other elected officials across the state and the country should start speaking up on this, or the news media, to say to people in our society what will and will not be tolerated. And I think that blatant disrespect for the basic institutions of our country should not be tolerated. And I do believe that's not a political position. I think both sides of the aisle can agree on that. So having said that, it was a one-time incident from what I understand, and I think it's been corrected, but I did think it needed to be talked about, and I had the pulpit to do it, so I wanted to do it tonight. Thank you for the birthday wishes, and I guess there's cake on the house tonight. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.